Cool.
So it begins. So it begins. So it begins. So it begins. So it begins.
Is that getting annoying yet? How's it going, everybody? We are back, baby. Fandom Collective, the Flipster, and myself, the Rookster, and we're just going to be chilling tonight. Just having a nice, good old conversation tonight. We haven't talked about Star Wars in general in a while. We're not talking about the sequel trilogy. We don't give a shit, but seeing the Clone Wars stuff has piqued some interest in conversation between us. So,
Yeah.
and if you guys come on in and you want to have a good chat and the whatnot, we'll be looking at you guys and paying attention. And if you guys have suggestions you want to say or questions, participate, we'll be reading them out. And it's just between us three. Me flipping the chat. That's what we're doing tonight. So, we just saw the Clone Wars Bad Batch thingy released the other day, or I don't know when that was released, but we just saw that. And it, seems all right. I assumed more, honestly.
Yeah.
Based on the title, I assumed it was going to be like this, motherfucking, this horribly outrageous clone troop little group, but it's just like a little mutated squad. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we all saw back in the past, the lost episodes that they were working on back in 2010, 11, whenever it was. And yeah, I remember seeing it and wishing I could see it colored in and hear some of the words and acting. And it was cool back then. I think they had a good portion of it put together. And seeing them in a true commercial, a little teaser there, it was cool, but I guess I expected a little bit more too. I want to see more Ahsoka more than anything.
Yeah, I assumed with the group that they're going to be a little bit more menacing. Like they're like, that Bad Batch, those guys, it's the how they do it. And then they just seem to be just kind of different looking. And that was it. And yeah, I'm a little more curious with Ahsoka too. I mean, this is at a point where she's still left the Jedi Council and whatnot. So how she interacts in this one should be interesting, especially if she talks to Obi-Wan and Anakin again.
Yeah, they've got that book that came out, Ahsoka, where her and Rex make it look like they staged their deaths. I guess Rex had taken out his inhibitor chip, and they put her lightsabers on his clone gear and make it look like she killed him or whatever. I haven't read the book, but I've heard so much about it. And in that book, I know that Ahsoka and Maul fight. So I'm really curious to see if they're going to show that within the series. Are you even aware, because I'm not, if they're having episodes like all at once? Are we going to be able to binge the episodes all at once, or are they spreading them out?
I'm assuming because it's going to be released on Disney Plus that it's going to be a weekly thing, kind of like how they did with The Mandalorian. But I'm not entirely sure because it was originally released like on Netflix, pretty much, unless or as far as the original release, I actually have no clue how they released it. But I know it was on Netflix with all the seasons at some point. So I don't remember exactly how they released the Clone Wars the first round, but I assume that when they do it on Disney Plus, it's going to be a weekly thing so that you can, keep on, coming back every week to see what happens next. That's actually a smart format in a way. I kind of prefer that over the binging format so you can have time to catch up if you haven't been able to sit down and watch it all yet.
Yeah, they originally came out on Cartoon Network back in 2000.
Oh, wow.
Something?
Like 2008, I think, 2009.
Sounds about right.
I think so. And then Disney took over around 2012. So, yeah, Clone Wars ran for about 5 seasons. Yeah, it was like 2008, I think.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think they came out around a weekly sort of thing. Ethan and I, gosh, he was so much younger then, maybe 8 or 10 years old. And we would wait weekly. And sometimes I think they came out on Saturdays or Sundays. And we would just wait. And honestly, I almost didn't watch the show. The first season was a little lackluster. We went to the movies to see the original Clone Wars movie and left there. He was thrilled. Gosh, he was, 7 years old, something like that. And he was like, that was great. And I was like, yeah, but that's not a Star Wars movie, I was a little frustrated because I'm taking my son to the first Star Wars movie ever he could ever, understand and watch, and that's what I got. And I was like, "Who is this Ahsoka? What? No, no." But later on, when they finally got into like season 2, about midway through season 2, the music got better and the action a little bit smoother, and I really fell in love with it, to be honest with you. So her particular storyline is so interesting to me that they would have even dared take it in a direction that Anakin had an apprentice, a Padawan. To me, it was awesome. That I didn't like it at first, obviously, but that they would even dare to do that, and that I would end up loving it. I think it's really a testament to what Star Wars used to be.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that. I mean, I wasn't a fan. I still kind of don't like how he called her Snips. It seems like a really lame, not in Star Wars nickname. I don't know, like Dex. That seems like a guy's name. Dexter Snips. Her name's Ahsoka. Why is it Snips? I forgot why he called her Snips. I think of something with the Clone Wars movie that they made, the animated cartoon movie that went into the show.
Yeah,
I don't know. That was just kind of goofy, I guess. And some moments in the show I despise. Some moments, but overall I did enjoy it, and I thought the way they incorporated the story was good, and it really made, especially when you get into like season 4, it's like there's wear and tear on all these characters. There's like they've been just constantly fighting for this every day. They're like in another fight, and it's this Clone Wars that we only saw briefly at the end of Attack of the Clones, and then a little bit in Revenge of the Sith. Like this is it's not just it's been a couple years, but it's like it's been a busy couple years. Like these people are on their feet all the time doing this. The Jedi have no time to learn how to train normally, really, like in the real way, because they are trying to go on missions with their masters and fight with this war. They're having to make decisions as Padawans that they wouldn't normally have to because there wasn't a galactic war before.
Yeah, it's a lot. It seems like, oh my God, are there that many situations and battles that come up on a daily basis? They got creative. A good show gets creative. Just as a reference point, I'm going to bring up Star Trek Voyager. When I was young enough to watch The Next Generation, I just thought it was great. From the beginning to the end, I thought it was great. But when Voyager came out, I was like, oh, no, what? No. But here I am in my 40s, and I've rediscovered it. And I'm like, wow, this was a smart show. Now, it didn't have my attention back then. But it being a Star Trek, of course it didn't. I was a more Star Wars angle-oriented person. But, yeah, like, if you go back and look at even the first season of the Clone Wars, they're smart shows. They're intelligent. They don't take the viewer to be a 5-year-old kid. And that's one of the frustrating things about George Lucas or a lot of the people even nowadays saying, well, Star Wars is for kids. Well, they don't make, Star Wars or any show for that matter where there aren't some suggestive adult jokes that, you can read between the lines that kids wouldn't even understand, or even suggestive situations where they have to obviously handle something in an adult way, but a kid's like, oh, action, boom, that's fun, yay. They make a kid joke, a fart joke, he steps in poop or whatever. But if you look past all of that, not in just Star Wars, but there are other shows where you realize that it was an intelligently thought out show, a well-written show, which is what we're all about, really. I mean, I think, as a fandom, anyway.
Yeah, I think so. I would hope in some way. And I mean, part of that is part of the entertainment, which people don't understand too, is that, you can make something aimed at kids and still entertaining for general audiences because they were kids at one point. I mean, they understand what they're watching as adults too. It's not difficult to put 2 and 2 together with things. But I don't know. And I mean, the fact that, they appeal with death. I mean, in the Clone Wars show especially, I mean, you know how many characters die on screen?
You're right.
Or they cut away, but they're definitely dead, and you can tell by the reaction on their face. Oh, they just got killed.
Yeah. Or I can't remember his name, not Fives, but his buddy. Was it Fives? Anyway, his buddy went crazy because of his inhibitor chip, and he shot that Jedi right in the head in the middle of,
Yeah, I remember that episode. Yeah, they're in the middle of a firefight, and then he just goes and shoots one of the Jedi there, and the sister of that Jedi is right there too. You know, like, oh shoot, that was crazy.
Yeah. I was gonna reply real quick to Will Gentry. See, I've always been a Trekkie, and Voyager is my least favorite of all the second generation Trek shows. I understand, Will, and it's odd that here's the thing. I'm rewatching The Next Generation with my son Ethan, and I only want to watch the shows when he's available. So I've already seen them all, but it's been, I don't know, 20 years. So instead of having to wait and be able to fulfill my sci-fi needs, my addiction, I've switched over to Voyager when he's not around. And I gotta say, if you watch every single episode in a row, you will find something that I didn't expect, and it's a smart, well-written show. The science is included, and it's just not fallible. It falls into place in a smart way. I just wanted to say that.
Okay, and I don't watch Star Trek, so I have no idea what you just said. It's all good. Will Gentry says, as for Star Wars, it is for kids. In a way, it's written to be a story to be a story that a 12-year-old would love, but also written in a way that it appealed to adults too, more specifically an adults in their inner 12-year-old. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was what George Lucas meant when he says it's like meant for kids, meant to get at that part of your childhood. It's like when you see a freaking kitten or something, you know, as an adult, you go, oh, it's cute, because when you're a kid, you see things and they're cute, right? I mean, in a way, it's a way you could say it. That's a way you can look at it. Riot Kitty says, I'm rewatching the Clone Wars, and most recent episodes I viewed was where the clone was impaled by a lightsaber after being taken over by a parasite. Oh yeah, that's on when they go back to Geonosis.
Yeah,
and they try to, because the dang Geonosians tried to take over again, and they had to go there for another battle. And it turns out the Geonosians are a parasitic drone type of species. So, those episodes are pretty good. And that was a good 4 or 5 episodes, I think.
Yeah, that's great art.
Of constant action and breaking lines, and they really try to show you that it's not as easy as it would seem. It's like, this galactic war of clones and Jedi versus the Separatists, the Sith and the droids. It's like, this was not just a simple little tiny battle that was happening here. It's like, it was a big galactic scale. And I like how in the Clone Wars show, they show the Separatists. Basically, it's a galaxy divided. There's people with different ideals that have split and have their allegiances elsewhere, and that's why there's this war right now. It's what's the dominating way of thinking, pretty much. And I don't know, it just seemed like it was pretty well done again. And people say the prequels themselves were too political. Mm-hmm. I mean, in a way, the politicals did move. They're a way on how it went forward, and you don't have to be a kid to as a kid, you don't need to fully understand what is happening with that. That's what the more flashier stuff is for when you're a kid, in a way, and then when you're a little older, you watch the same thing, you can understand a little better what you were watching and why it was happening. Oh, okay, so oh shit. So yeah, you could see that Sidious, the Emperor planned on that whole thing with Naboo and all that stuff with the Trade Federation, all that stuff that everybody's like, oh, political booby lulu. It's like, no, this was a way to get him into power. Like having the Naboo threatened was a way for him to be elected to get into power, and that worked. So maybe for kids, but it's also for adult minds. In a way. I mean, as a kid, I didn't really understand any of that stuff, but as an adult, I understand it completely, and so I appreciate it even more for that fact.
Yes, agreed. You don't feel like you're being placated or you're being forced to watch some show that panders only to children, like Blue's Clues or something like that.
Yeah, it's like, see, Blue's Clues, you watch that as a kid and you enjoy it as a kid. As an adult, you despise it and go, oh, fuck that. If you can watch something that you liked as a kid and then watch it as an adult and then actually still like it or find new things about it, you've really succeeded. Really succeeded.
That reminds me, and I'm going to angle back to the prequels with you here in just a second, because I love that you brought that up. But didn't the guy from Blue's Clues, the original guy, I can't remember, Steve, didn't he leave to start a rock band or something?
Yeah, something like that.
It's crazy. just blows me away. I never did look him up. I'll probably look him up tonight or tomorrow because I got to see this guy in a rock band. That's nuts. But yeah, even in that show or Dora the Explorer, there were these subtle hints. Like people have always, I don't know, growing up, have always told me, "Hey, watch this, watch The Wizard of Oz. Turn the sound down and listen to the Pink Floyd, The Wall album, or one of the damn albums. I can't remember." And it's funny how the music goes directly with the show. There's just all kind of smart little ways to fit in things that I don't think that was on purpose. Obviously, I know it wasn't. But things like that, they fit in the smallest thing that you can read between the lines. But anyway, I think that makes it a smart show for kids and adults. And definitely, even Dora the Explorer or Blue's Clues or something like that, I had these little moments where me and my wife at the time would look at each other like, oh my God, that's very adult. But kids would never get it. But it was so rare. In the Clone Wars, or even the Clone Wars cartoon, the original animated one from 2003.
Yeah.
Those were the same. They were for kids, but they weren't at all. They like totally were, and they weren't at all.
No, dude. I remember specifically this one area stood out to me with that show, and that was when all the Jedi were kind of surrounded by like a dozen, like hundreds of super battle droids, and Grievous is out on the battlefield too, and they're like all kind of boarded up in this little wreckage area, kind of. And Grievous is coming, and there's like a Padawan there, and he's flipping out. He's like sweating, and Keanu Moody's trying to calm everybody down, and they can't sense Grievous because he doesn't have the Force, and he's not as easy to detect. He's a machine. He's got 4 lightsabers. He just comes in, crushes the dude.
Yeah.
As he runs, he just crushes him right there. And he ran out of fear and he was crushed. That kid's dead.
Yeah.
And he proceeds to slaughter these Jedi Masters like easily. He's just like, your death is now. Basically, he's just like, just crushing them. I mean, that was good. If you're a little kid watching that, yes, you might think it's exciting too, but it's like that's pretty intense, for a kid to see, I suppose. But
yeah,
kids can handle it. It's not the end of the world. If you're seeing like, I don't know, Spartacus or 300 and you're seeing people's faces get torn off, that's a little different. Having a little violence in a cartoon, isn't as bad because the way they show it. It wasn't his guts didn't splatter over the screen or something when he got squished. He just got squished and that was it. Absolutely.
That was a scary scene. I hear the music in my head right now for that scene where the Grievous comes out. Like it's sort of his introduction scene. The music's like dun 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 dun, and then all these Jedi are just getting wasted. Some might say it's a little overpowered in that whole scene, but I think when you've got to follow up Darth Vader and the Emperor, you have to have an interesting. Oh, and not only that, not have the Force. You have to have an interesting villain who can absolutely wreck people, and they introduced him as such, and I was thrilled about that. I think they nerfed him a little bit in the movies, honestly, because Obi-Wan, one lightsaber, hello there, no problem.
Yeah, it just kind of he was pretty confident that he could beat him one-on-one.
Right. Whereas even Ki-Adi-Mundi couldn't in the cartoon, and that was with multiple Jedi's helping, or Padawan and Jedi helping him.
Yeah, I agree. Though I will admit, like the way they showed it in the movies, I think was fine. But I mean, some people have issues with the shows, how they added more fights with these characters and stuff, especially between Obi-Wan and Grievous. Which that's the only thing I would take out of the Clone Wars show is his fights with Obi-Wan, and any other fights he has with Jedi, I would keep. Those are cool. Those are good.
Absolutely wreck the shit out of him, just like he did in the 2003 cartoon.
Yeah. I want to read Over Easy's comment right here. He says, I always thought that the Republic should have ended more like Rome's Republic ended. Palpatine should have been more like Julius Caesar, and Vader like Mark Anthony.
Mm-hmm. I can see
Mark Anthony.
I don't know who Mark Anthony is, but I
know Caesar. We all know Caesar. Hail Caesar. Hail Caesar.
Hail.
Everything Star Wars says Palpatine was a genius. The only problem was his overconfidence. He also kept going. Going with the planet destroying stuff too much. 2 Death Stars and an overwhelming amount of Star Destroyers. Now I agree. I don't understand. See, okay, I'm gonna comment real quick, Flipp. Sorry about this. Might be a little random kind of thing. So it's like with the Death Star things, when they made the first one, that made total sense because the intention was that it will take quite a few years to get the materials and equipment and to get this thingy operational and functional. It's gonna take a while to get this puppy up and running, but the whole point of it would be submission. It's like the fact that they have this device that can kill you. You're just on a planet, you're dead. They can just kill you, and then they can move this wherever they want. Rather be it seemed to be slowly, but who knows if they could make it go faster in the future. But it's like okay, you wanna have trouble against us? You want to be an idiot? We're just gonna end your existence and your whole life and family and house and everything. Like, oh, you want to hide from us on the rock? You think we're gonna go look for you? Yeah, we can just blow it up. We got more planets, right? Okay, we're good. So it's like that was its intention, was to get people to not go against them so they can stop having enemies. Like who would dare try to screw with them? Like, why would you do it? So then that gets destroyed though. So it's like, okay, plan B. Let's make another one. I don't know about that. That seems like, okay, they found a way, even though it was super duper secret, they found a way to destroy it anyway. It's like, okay, so that means you need to change up your plan. You can't just plan again. Like, I don't know. That seems really dumb.
It's a massive undertaking to put. Okay, in real life, it's a massive undertaking. In the Star Wars universe, I still think that would be an incredibly massive undertaking to build a Death Star. It's almost more believable that they could alter a planet into becoming a super weapon. I know that may sound strange, but the planet's already there. You don't have to build the planet first before you build the weapon.
Well, I would agree with you, except for the planet, like let's say the Starkiller one required destroying the sun of its own solar system to do it. Yeah, that's retarded.
That's retarded. Where did all the energy go?
If they could like use the core or something of the planet and still have it somehow be stable after they do something with it, I mean maybe. But that's the thing too. That'd be a stationary weapon though. Like you'd have to bring people there. Like that'd be like your ultimate home base, I guess. Like if people come into the solar system, you're fucked. But like anybody leaves outside of the solar system, they're fine.
Yep.
That would be kind of dumb.
I had trouble understanding how the weapon knew to Starkiller knew how to split up and aim at different planets. Like to me, I got a lot of people just say, oh, okay, that's pretty cool in the middle of the movie. I'm like, what's the science behind that? Why is that happening?
Okay, we can't get into science with this. The fact that all five of those planets were not only all aimed at it didn't aim at the 5 planets. They were all lined up perfectly together. Like if they're on the planets, they could see the other planets from their planet. That's right. That's so dumb. Like when I was trying to make my own ideas for like a galaxy for like a story or something, I lined up the Milky Way. Like not the Milky Way. I lined up our solar system. Mercury and Mars, Venus, everything. I lined them all together and like right in a row of a line. You just hop the planets, but it's like no, they'll be in different places. Oh shit, So you could have them be separated even further big time by having them not lined up in a row. They would not be lined up like that. That's so dumb. And the fact that it went across the galaxy so quick, like, okay, you fired the blast now hopefully you're aiming where it's going to be, not where it is. Cause it should take light years to get there. It should take a long time to get there. You'd think.
Even at light speed, the damn thing would never make it to the right area. I mean, like the Voyager, not the Star Trek Voyager, but the real Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 that we sent off of the Earth. The real science behind it is you had to use planets to get it to, go faster and aim at different other planets to go, and yet, using the planet's gravitational field to create more speed and all that. So even if you could go light speed from the sun to the Earth, it's 8 minutes or so. I believe.
Yeah, that's for light to reach Earth. Yes.
Yeah. So line up all the planets, and you're still not going to be able to go directly down the line and boom, 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 boom. But I'm weird like that. I get all caught up in the science of stuff.
Yeah, Flipp and I are big space science guys. We love talking about that kind of thing, and so it's like we know we know that Star Wars is a space fantasy sci-fi thingy, but it's also they establish rules that it's similar. The rules of space are similar enough to ours, except for there's explosions and sound in space. Pretty much, that's the only thing that's different, right? Everything else seems to be normal.
Yeah, the ships fly different.
Well, okay, well that too, but the fact that we don't know how to do that, I feel like that's a little different. That's a little different. We assume they found fuel of some kind that lets them do it. That's
it's a willing suspension of disbelief. I get caught up in certain bits and pieces. I think we all do a little bit, but
yeah. Well, and like when they say they're going light speed, I mean, so okay, it's going to take us 4 years to get our destination. Right. That's where we are. We're going across the galaxy. That'll take a day, but that should technically take years still.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're like the way they do it is like without actually always creating a portal. They do something like that. I don't know. It makes enough sense when they hit the hyperdrives and all that. I guess it's something. It would look stupider if they had a portal thingy to open or something that brings them to the other end. Or no, they're super duper faster than the speed of light. I'd be like, well, that's kind of dumb.
or like if they use, say, I don't know, alien spores to make the ship flip over in a circle and boom, just appear somewhere else.
Alien spores from like a plant.
I'm making a Discovery reference. I'm just being a jerk, not to you, but about the movie, the show.
Well, since you brought it up, is that from like a plant?
I think it's from some sort of a alien being or something. I only watched the first episode, but I also watched
like his sweat. What?
Spores of some sort.
They fill it up in a cup and put it in the tank. What?
Something like that. The guy hops in this freaking like a container big enough for a human or a alien person being, and they hook some things into his arms, and the next thing you know, he's some sort of transwarp drive entity battery. I don't know. It's like that's the way I remember it being explained to me. And I've seen like the commercials where, hey, come see the next Discovery on CBS. And I'm like, that's
so retarded.
Yeah. And I've watched Justice for Amos and all that on, was it Nerdrotic doing that? But yeah. So it is retarded. But they
plug their engines into him to go faster.
Yeah. And well, they don't go faster. They just disappear. Like the whole ship spins over in a circle. And then it just boom disappears.
They spin in a circle now because they plug into him.
Yeah.
What?
It's pretty.
I'm sorry. You're describing this to me. I've never seen this show, and I've never seen any Star Trek. This sounds so stupid.
Yeah, a lot of people disagree with the whole thing. They stole the idea and all that good stuff. But
yeah,
for me, I think it's interesting because up until that's something that Star Trek's famous for always doing their warp drive thing differently. It's never consistent, although TNG and Voyager shows were consistent. But that's it. Star Wars is always consistent, although the most recent movies, the prequels, did manage to get everywhere lots faster somehow. But in the prequels, they pretty much followed the same format as George set up in the original trilogy. And speaking about the prequels, I meant to say something earlier. You're right. It was political. There was a lot of politics in it. But I think most people would agree, maybe you do, maybe you don't, that the Clone Wars show actually alleviated a lot of the politics from it, gave it a little bit more life, whereas it had almost split the fan base, starting with the Phantom Menace, which I thought was decent. But I think the Clone Wars kind of saved the prequels a little bit.
Well, that's what's kind of funny, because actually there's a shit ton of politics in the Clone Wars TV show. I mean, the Mandalorian section alone on Mandalore, like that's a whole political situation that is there. The whole almost every planet and thing they do has something to do with politics. When they're on the water planet with the Akbar race and the sharks, that's a political matter that they're dealing with. They're arguing, and it's politics, and who's gonna take the reins of this and merge the people. Like, it's all politics. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't understand. So that's what I don't understand when people are confused about the politics. I'm like, this is the reason as to the diffusion here. This is why there's the differences. That's why the Jedi are coming to intervene and trying to help diffuse the problem. That's part of what's happening here, and the fact that it's like, separatists are trying to gain control of this, and now it's about gaining ground. So separatists versus republic. You have to be able to sway people over. I'm sorry, like in a way through politics. Like you do blank for us, we'll help you and your people if you work for us. You have to do these things because of our political party, and that's what they're doing. I mean, that's what the show is in a way. I mean, of course, there's the other themes that we do when we're closer to the characters, but for the most part, it's a very political show.
Yeah, well, they've got the Trade Federation, which makes the whole thing totally even more political because they're blocking planets from being able to trade and export, import, putting taxation routes on, hold. And yeah, it gets a little bit intense, but I think because of the Clone Wars show, it alleviated a lot of the politics since they were mostly explained in the movies, at least from a, hey, this is what's going on, character development, sort of entity development situation, setting, call it what you will. And then in the show, they could just be like, oh, yeah, and this planet's being blocked from the trade. Oh, okay, well, how do we get around them? And then it becomes action and
right, yeah. The way I was trying to say it was that like the politics are the cause, and then we get to go on the ride with the characters and the Jedi and stuff and what's going on, close up. That's what I meant.
No, I agree. The original thought there is, I guess, that they had to have a reason to go to war. So it works. It does work. What did you think about the Phantom Menace?
See, I enjoyed it a lot, and I can agree that Jar Jar Binks, is an annoying character, but he's actually kind of a good character. If we look at it, if we strip out the annoyance of his speech and stuff, he's actually a decent-ish character. He's an outcast on from his people, which is they seem like idiots, but they have an advanced underwater society. To be able to do that. They're also warriors. They're willing to fight for their lands and stuff. And they're also capable of peace. They're not just these, bumpkins under the water. They're able to thrive on their own and become somewhat of a threat. They're somewhat of a force. They're fighting on the droids head on. They'd rather fight than go down just getting slaughtered. So, and then he gets wrapped up with this Jedi plot, something he definitely did not want to do. Gets taken to, he's literally a fish out of water, going to a desert planet and has to deal with that stuff. Again, he is annoying along the whole way, guys. I'm not saying he's not annoying. He's very annoying. Yeah. But, he helps in the situations where he can throughout this whole thing and is able to establish the peace between the Naboos pretty much, by hanging around with Padme and them. So it's like it's not the worst thing in the world. And we also follow, the Jedi this whole time. We follow Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan throughout the journey. If people don't know who the main characters are, Qui-Gon is obviously the main character in Phantom Menace. They end up working their way to a three-way space battle, kind of like the Return of the Jedi. And it was executed pretty well. Yes, again, some of the lines are corny when they're in space, I'll admit. But, still, it was decent. The droid, the Federation guys, the Jedi are coming, they're annoying, and people think they're racial stereotypes, which they can if they want. To me, they're just an alien design. Doesn't matter what it's supposed to represent. It's something, and they're, this whole thing is happening basically to get Palpatine into a position of political power, for people to be scared enough for a planet to vote to have somebody take more harsh actions. And that's what he was doing, and that worked. And then you go into Clone Wars, and it's, Attack of the Clones, and same thing. What's happening is all politically motivated, but we get to ride the backs of our characters and watch them deal through the problems and go through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Go through them. I couldn't agree more. I don't think Jar Jar was a terrible character. I get that. Look, most of his species were fine. Like, if we hadn't been introduced to Jar Jar specifically, you'd probably go, okay, that's the, fish people, and that would be it. But they needed something to show off the CGI that, let's be honest, Lucas created, or at least his team. And they also wanted to show off something for the kids, make it a family movie. I think I'm more annoyed by Ewoks and Jake Lloyd's, not Jake Lloyd, but the fact that he used a young character for Anakin.
You could have had Anakin be older and already being trained by Obi-Wan or something.
Sure. Exactly. And even that isn't enough to make me go, well, the movie was terrible. I went in not expecting it to be the original trilogy. I was receiving, I can't remember, it was Star Wars Insider magazine back then in the 90s. That's the way we got our news, good old-fashioned magazine subscriptions. And I kept getting that every month. I'd get it. I'd read it from front to back to front. Look at all the pictures. I bought the baseball cards to the whole prequel movies each time one came out. I got a pack. Oh, I got a foil card of freaking Jar Jar. Okay, great. It's a foil card. What's this character going to be like? And I thought, well, they're trying to break ground and change the movie industry. And for me, I looked at it from a completely different point of view than I see from a lot of the haters. Not that they don't have their good arguments for not liking the character. I agree with you. He is super annoying. And without him, it's fine. I think the movie still gets along just fine. But like I said, the main thing for me, at least in the Phantom Menace, was the fact that we brought in a young Anakin and had to start so young. But they did give us Darth Maul.
Yeah, true, and that is a decent part of it as well. Big old part. I was gonna say something with so Bandit Incorporated. He made his version of the prequels, and it started like with Episode 1 being where Anakin's already pretty much the same age he was in Episode 2, but starting from Episode 1 with him around that age with Obi-Wan. I think that would have been pretty desirable for a lot of people, but. Padme, was another good part of this series, though she should have been more involved in Episode 3, I think. She was in Episode 1 and 2 pretty well, but then we got cast aside in Episode 3, which kind of made sense for what the story was trying to do, but she was a main character, even though she's pregnant. You think she'd be one of the pregnant chicks that's still like, I can still fight, and still trying to do something. That would have been interesting to see. And they probably, for all I know, they'll do that in the Clone Wars shows that are going to be released soon.
That's right. The Clone Wars show has her in the original trailer. They had her pregnant. Did you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, at the very end of the Clone Wars trailer, the season 7 trailer, you see Anakin with the long hair brushing her face, I believe, with his hand, and she's standing there, whatever, pregnant. In her loft, you know how it's open to the outside of Coruscant?
Yeah.
In the Revenge of the Sith, right there. Looks really interesting. There's been speculation that they're going to jump all over the time zone at the end of the season. Like, I say time zone, I mean, like they're going to be showing you things that went on in Revenge of the Sith, but
they're crossing streams with Episode 3.
Yeah. And I, for one, am glad they're crossing the streams in this case.
Yes. Ditto.
Yeah, that should be really cool. I think we all agree, whoever's listening, love them or hate them, they got the romance wrong in the trilogy, the prequels. I say all, not all of us, most of us. But I am open and glad that they did it. I think that Anakin was too small in the beginning, too young to establish some sort of a love affair that they would end up having. And I know it's very opinionated and on the negative side, but I didn't hate it in Revenge of the Sith. I think it just could have been a little bit better in Attack of the Clones. But that particular movie gets enough flack and enough hate for me. I actually enjoyed Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, ditto. Yeah, I have a lot of things that I enjoyed in Attack of the Clones, especially the score. Like when Anakin's mom is dead, and he's like, he's realizing she's dead, and he's like looking up all angry, and it's like, it picks up, and then starts slicing them up, and he's just like, yeah, baby, I'm gonna kill them all. And a lot of people think he's crazy in that scene, but it's like he's killing what is essentially animals to them. Like they refer to Tusken Raiders as monsters, animals, mindless creatures. To them, they don't care. They're hardly people. Even if they are humans underneath, they don't care. They refer to them as monsters. But go ahead.
How did the music go again?
It was like it just goes
kill you. Yeah, I know. I love that. The music that I did that earlier, and so I had to ask you to do that again. That was fun.
Yep, it's pretty funny. Yeah, I'm gonna read some of the chat real quick. Or if you want to finish your thoughts real quick.
I was just gonna say the same thing. I said I really enjoyed the movie. the book, I actually read the novel before I watched the movie, which normally I wouldn't do. I'm not a big reader. I like comics. I tend to easily read the comics, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. You wanted to, yeah.
Yeah, I'll address some of the chat right here. So we got Death by Saber in the chat. What's up, buddy? Says the actor that played Jar Jar Binks, LOL, he thought he was going to be a very popular character. He is in the first Kelly Marie. Oh, he is the first Kelly Marie Tran.
Oh, God.
I guess so, but he technically did probably he got a lot more screen time than her, I would imagine, throughout his movies than compared to hers. And I think he's more respected as a character. As far as the actor goes, I don't think enough people know who he is or enough about him because he's not on screen. So he could be safe in that way. Except for, I know people had a lot of flack for him back in the prequel hating days, pretty much. But we got TechCom, a.k.a. Mega Jiggity Jetty, says, I love Padme, but how she accepted Anakin's slaughter of the Tuskens and fell for him despite his creepiness betrayal in episode 2 was really poorly written. I kind of disagree. Kind of big time, actually, because, looking at it from her perspective, too, she's this, young senator, a young woman, barely an adult, really, senator, if you want to go by age standards, maybe sometimes 15 is considered an adult, but it's she's a young senator who's got to deal with all these adult things all the time, and then she finally gets a chance to hang out with the dude for once,
Yeah.
And someone that she kind of had some appealing toward, nothing too much, just friendly-ish, but this dude's grown up. He's a man now, and she's talking with this man, and he has not had much experience with women either, being grown up on a slave planet by himself with his mommy, and she's dead. And it's just I don't know. There's all he becomes a monk that's not supposed to have sex. It's I don't know. There's a lot of reasons as to how these two could come together. And like I said with the Tuskens, I mean, those might have well has been wild boars or something. In their eyes, they are not people. Those are mindless monsters, cavemen, things that are nothing. So if she's oh yeah, you killed some monsters, some little animals. I mean, yeah, whatever. I guess that's mean, but your mom just died. And I know how much that meant to you. So. I mean, then they show also one more thing. They show also that he is tired throughout this whole movie. He is kept up at night seeing visions of his mother dying, and he shares that with Padme. It's that he keeps on seeing her death all the time. He cannot sleep, and that also plays into why when he and Obi-Wan fight Dooku, he just charges at Dooku. He's tired of this shit. He just wants to go and finish this shit now, And that was an irrational decision because he's tired.
Yeah,
big time.
I think that had a large part to do with it. Like I said, I read the Attack of the Clones novel. I was in the hospital right before it came out. And I think it was my wife or my mom and dad. Somebody brought me the book. And I don't know why they put the novel out 2 or 3 months before the movie came out, but they did. And I was in a serious predicament. I wasn't sure if I was going to live or die. So I was well, I'm definitely going to read the novel. So I did. And in the novel, that exact section you're talking about where he kills the Tusken Raiders, it is a lot more graphic and violent. And actually, I was really looking forward to that part in the movie. It describes him, taking the Tusken Raiders apart one by one. And he, how in Phantom Menace, when they Jedi run, they're on the ship. It's the very first scene of the Phantom Menace, and they run real fast, so fast that they blur. In the Attack of the Clones book, where he's fighting the Tusken Raiders, he does that real quick to get ahead of them, and it describes that. And then he gets in front of them and he chops their heads off and guts them, and it describes it very graphically. I have the book, as a matter of fact. So I can show you a picture of it, and you can maybe check it out sometime. I mean, wait a minute, you can find that easily. What am I saying?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, that would have been interesting to see on screen.
But honestly, it would have made what TechCom Mega Jetty is saying even more true. If you, I think that's why they didn't put it in the movie. Originally, they were going to, but they took it out. They say it was for time, but I think all my life up until that moment when I read what he just wrote, Mega Jetty, I thought, well, they took it out because it was violent and they needed time. But yeah, I think the creep factor would have been way over the top because the way I read that, it was violent. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that she's not witnessing this, all she knows is that these savage people took his mom from him. They killed him, or they killed them. This has been something that he's been foreseeing and keeping him up at night and driving him crazy. And then he kills them, and he just comes back and says that that's all that happened and stuff. His mom died. He killed them. And she's just like, well, I mean, yeah, you're probably pissed, and you did. Okay, like time to move on.
Oh, you're saying it's akin to him going out and slaughtering dogs or coyotes or something to her.
That's what I was saying. They might as well as been. I can't get the words right in my head. Might as well have been wild boars or something, like or cavemen, like just brutish, primitive people that just we just eat and fuck, is all they do or something.
I killed your mom.
If the context was Anakin's mom was raped and just torn apart every goddamn night for weeks, and then he finds her dead and then wants to kill them all, would people feel as bad? I don't think so.
Yeah, I got that impression too.
More justified? I don't know. We don't know the details of why would they have her captive? What is the purpose? What, for trade? No. I'm just saying. What was the purpose of keeping a human prisoner? Taking it specifically from people and then killing them? It's I don't know. Just saying.
Right. Absolutely.
She was probably not having fun there, and his mom suffered with that being alone. He left. And he blames himself partly for that too. So I think she can see that. And it's just like, there's just more to it than he slaughtered a bunch of people. Padme is crazy for staying with him. That is I'm sorry guys, that's kind of a base way of looking at it, in my opinion, just because it's like, there's this other context, so much context that fill this and give reason as to why she's okay with him having done that. And, that's not when she's like, oh, I'm just totally in love with you right now, let's make out. No, that's later when they're about to die. Where it's like, okay, yeah, maybe I do like this dude. That's when she's saying that. Yeah, I'll kiss him. Why not?
Yeah,
that's when everything's coming to fruition. They're about to be executed. That's when it was more official. It's not like she was just fully all for him. How should she have reacted there? Really? I mean, because I feel like that was a decent reaction based on the context of everything that was going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I think
you're gonna kill me in the chat probably.
Yeah,
ending this. I don't know.
I would have reacted similarly. Especially if my girlfriend came to me and said, I just killed a bunch of wild boars, I'd be like, well, okay, you're disturbed. Your mom died. I'm with you. It's okay. It's going to be okay.
I mean, this is the story of Darth Vader here. Like, I don't know. It seems like it fits.
And on the other hand, I wish it had been a creepier thing, because it's Vader. You just said it. It's because it's Darth Vader,
Well, and also it's like, Padme herself, who knows what her interests are? I mean, for all we know, she's in this, high political stakes all the time. And there's war being threatened at all times. She's being constantly hunted by assassins. Like, I'm pretty sure she can deal with some creep factor.
Yeah.
she's not an innocent little girl anymore. She's a woman, full grown woman dealing with real shit.
The way you talk about
seeing this dude go through these same things while she's being hunted. He's there to protect her from being killed. Like, there's so much context here.
It's called good storytelling, something the sequels just missed completely.
Yeah, so it's like I can't call it badly written for the prequels. That's written very well, actually. And maybe a lot of people don't put all those together right away, which sometimes, like, I find it took me forever to piece all that together in my head. Now I'm discovering more as we're talking. Like,
Yeah, as we talk. Yeah, you're right. It is good writing on a storytelling level, from a director's point of view, and it amalgamates into this, beautiful, story, that actually makes sense and has context. And like you're saying, well, context, but when you look at George Lucas's prequels, I think you're seeing, not just me, but people in general, I guess, are seeing, well, there was too many politics. There wasn't enough of the war or the romance, or there was too much Jar Jar or this or that or the other. But it wasn't the original trilogy. And I think it was tough for people to adjust more than anything. We had new ways of doing animation. And one of the beautiful things about the Clone Wars is that it only added, I guess, more universe to that. Because if it had stopped at the prequels, and that was it until we saw Force Awakens, it would have just been like, oh man, I could see it not being as interesting. There you would have your detractors on both sides. Oh, I'm just strictly original trilogy. Oh, I'm just strictly prequels because I grew up during that era or whatever. But in having this Clone Wars series, I think it really brought the two together, but it gave more life into the prequels, which I think are definitely, like you're saying, they have good context. I think they're definitely a little bit underrated.
Yeah, I agree. That's well put, man.
Or maybe I just miss George Lucas.
That's probably part of it. It's like, so this is kind of a tough one. I want to have a good conversation about this with like Tom from Midnight's Edge, because he's done a lot of history and research about George Lucas and all this stuff, and he's on the side of that he's kind of a piece of shit ish. Like, not trying to represent him there, but I mean, he's just like kind of said that he's not as good as a lot of people would say that he is. But I don't know. I feel like there can be some arguments for some stuff, but I'm not. See, like when I'm talking about the movies, I'm not talking about what people are doing and what their intentions are with what's happening. I'm just looking at what is being shown here in the stories, and what's being shown on the screen. So, like, I can't argue for what I don't know all the background stuff of the prequels, to be honest, and I don't really feel like researching all of it either. Seems like a rabbit hole. But I'm going to address the chat again real quick. Right, Katie says Obi-Wan. I think that he was suspicious of Anakin and Padme, but didn't want to call them out because he was he was lying in bed with another queen.
Indeed, he was.
He was for a bit. He was.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I don't think he believed in the hey, let's not have sex with people and have relationships thing. I think it's obvious.
Yeah, he was trying. If anything, like he in the show, in the Clone Wars show, when he's on Mandalore and talking to Satine, was that
Satine? Yeah, Satine.
Satine, yeah, or Duchess Satine, yeah. He was like, I will leave the Jedi Order and be with you if that's what you want. Like, I think the thing was that they're not supposed to be able to shag while they're in the Order, basically. But he'd leave it all to be with somebody that he loves. So
yeah,
that was something.
He'd
fight for what he loves and not destroy what he hates, and not.
Yes, the Raylo. But I hope that with the season 7, I hope that it's a little bit more. It's got more production value than the last 6. After having this amount of time, the expectation level. I mean, considering the failure or perceived failure, whoever you are and whatever you see of the sequels. There's a big expectation level, and I do hope the production value is really good. I know that they've gone back and redone episodes, not to redo them, but they've gone ahead and added the coloring and
they touched them up, they polished them.
Yeah. So I don't know. What are you hoping for out of the Clone Wars season 7?
See, that's the thing. I don't have a Disney Plus account, though I'm sure that there's people in the community that'd be happy to send me a pirated link, which I may or may not watch. You never know. But I'd probably watch them. But I don't know. I don't know if I'll watch them. That's the thing. Like, if I don't, because it's just I do want to see them, but it's like once I see them, then that is it for the Clone Wars, right? Like once you see them, they're not making any more of this show.
That's the gist. Maybe they're waiting to see how well it does. I think the Disney Plus stuff is obviously so far so good as far as their success rate, but I don't know. Would they stop? I know that they should.
Well, I mean, the point being that they stopped making them anyway, and these episodes were mostly done like years ago, and they finished up some things with them, and they're releasing them now.
Yeah.
And the fact that they had the Rebels show, the Resistance show, and all that stuff in between Rogue One, I'm just doubting that they can't really continue the Clone Wars show because that's the end of the Clone Wars.
Right.
Episode 3. So Clone Wars technically does come to an end anyway. So that's when they'd probably end it. So that's my point, to be that this show pretty much ends. Rebels was technically its continuation, though with far worse animation and far worse storytelling.
Yeah.
But, it's some good moments. I won't say not all bad. There's some moments that are fine and good callbacks to the show itself, to Clone Wars. But, that's the future of it.
Yeah, it had its moments. Suppose that using the same animation style, which I know, me personally, I hope they continue this animation style. I know it was expensive. It was actually, I think I've heard that it was a loss on their part as far as financially. Back then when it was so expensive to make. Nowadays, maybe not so much. But I hope that they continue it with like a side character. Maybe we get to see how Yoda ends up on Dagobah and what his adventure is. Maybe that's not exciting, but something along those lines. They find Rex and Ahsoka. Where do they go? And they make the Rex and Ahsoka post Revenge of the Sith video.
See, that's kind of the thing. They've actually done that before. Like in Rebels, they have that where Rex meets up with Ahsoka. Like they have Kanan and Ezra or whatever. They go to this planet and they find a couple of surviving clone troopers, from the thing. The ones that removed the microchips that didn't kill any Jedi. And they meet up, and Rex joins with the rest. Sorry if I'm spoiling shit for people, but whatever. It's on the internet now. What can you do?
If you haven't seen it by now.
So Ahsoka ends up meeting Rex again, in the Rebels.
Yeah, you're right. They've done it before. I'm not dead set on, hey, in my brain, they should do it Rex and Ahsoka. But I'm thinking to continue this animation style before you get to Rebels, but after Revenge of the Sith. Maybe they'll continue in that manner.
I agree that in general, I'd love to see more in this, keeping this style and doing other stories.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I agree. Though again, I still wouldn't mind seeing more of the old 2D fashion, the 2003, because God damn it, I miss that stuff. Ever since Princess and the Frog came out, there's been like nothing new that's 2D animated other than, of course there's anime stuff and, the basic cartoons, but it's like for the most part, there's no big funded magical piece of, animation anymore, 2D. Now it's all the 3D bulgy, which it's fine, but it's just, it'd be refreshing to see some newer stuff with the old animations.
I would agree. I love Tartakovsky's animation style. I thought it was just absolutely, it wasn't daring. It was just interesting, And another angle of that would be, I don't know what you were expecting, Rook, when they said they were going to do sequels, but I hoped that there wasn't going to be some sort of a, like a hostile empire trying to take over the galaxy with a super weapon. I was hoping they brought it down to a more intimate setting where the Jedi and the Sith have this sort of thriller type of movie, or even like have aspects of the movies have like horror aspects, some comedy, but thriller. Very intimate setting where you have to not so much like a video game where you have to go find the next MacGuffin, but something along the lines of the study of the Force and, just an intimate setting. I'm not sure how else to describe it.
Yeah, I kind of like instead of it being such a wide scale, it'd be more closed in. It'd be more boxed in. It wouldn't be as the whole universe is at stake right now and everything. It's like no. It's a close story, not a it can take place in a much it's not everything's at stake. It's personal problems with somebody, characters, and see what they're going through, watch them go through it, that kind of thing.
Right, and build up maybe, to that at some point later down the road. But like the whole trilogy could have been about, or even like a show in the same animation style, or something, an idea for the future, however it manifests. But if those sequels would have done something more intimate and small, like the journey of an individual character and how they go from being like Luke, not a farm boy, but in that case, but something like that, like a, backwoods, poor, needs to be adopted, poor kid or whatever, or even like maybe Luke's son and daughter. Luke has been long dead, and the whole, the, what do you call it? The Republic is fine. I'm not trying to say this is how I would exactly want it, but something along those lines where you get to know a character and grow with them, learning the Force and learning new aspects of the Force as they go along, finding bad guys in strange places and seeing, them try to build their bad guy situation. I don't know.
Yeah, yes, I like how you're saying it. I mean, they could have done this as movies, I think. This would have been a cool move by Disney, having gotten the rights, and they got it in 2012, and they had, good 3 or 4 years to, prepare for something else to release. It would have been cool if they wanted to make their movies as if it were a serial, like as if it were a TV show in a way. So like, but you could do it in sets of trilogies because those are fun. Why not have, a trilogy is essentially an extended movie, like with 3 arcs. You start here, you get in the middle here, and then you end here. That's pretty much what it is anyway. You could have had, the whole sequel trilogy have been like a way where there doesn't even need to be any bad guys as far as like a full-on force that opposes the current one. Yeah, of course, villains, of course, of some kind, some antagonists, of course, but something that's not a whole threat to everything. And then by the end of the trilogy, there's the new threat. Like, it's been building toward, okay, there's been developments of things, happening here or there, elsewhere, maybe bumping into them here and there. You see some foreshadowing of a future invasion of some kind, maybe. And then the next trilogy following that is the beginning of this whole new war.
Yeah.
And then so you get the smaller moments, like you said, where everything's not at stake, and then it builds to where everything is at stake again, and it's different. I mean, this could have been like leading to a Yu Song Wang style thing, where it's all, these things are all biological, all their weapons are biological, everything is biological pretty much, and they hate technology and want to kill them, and the Force is useless against them. Lightsabers have a tough time cutting through them. I'm not saying use them specifically. There's also like the Agnaz, which are like Force vampires that can use some manipulation on people and disguise as humans and try to suck your Force energy out of you. The more powerful you are in the Force, the better you taste. Kind of like the creature from It. Trying to suck on all that with the more that you have. So yeah, they had plenty of options, and I would have been fine too if there was like a pretend empire that's like wannabe empire, and they're trying and they're using remnants of old equipment and armor, and they have to customize it themselves, and have aliens do it as well, don their own armor. There could have been a lot of interesting stuff here.
So
it should have been really cool.
Something intimate and building. I love the idea of like the First Order, like you said, a wannabe empire that just can't quite get there, and they keep running into this person who's barely knowing what they're doing. And like you said, it doesn't have to be specifically like that, but it would have been nice to be original, something very original.
Right. And it's like that could have been such a small threat that it's not like it's not whatever the main powers. It's not their duty to deal with every single little thing that's going on. Like, yeah, there's a little gang over there. Like in America, there's gangs in America, but they can't just wipe out all gangs. Like, they will happen.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't have a big super weapon in New York that's going to shoot somebody else in the world, Exactly. Although I will say, with the possibility of all those satellites that SpaceX is putting up, we're going to have like a force field of satellites around our entire Earth. So maybe one day. Yeah.
Dude, everybody in the chat for the last like 30 minutes have been talking ever since we mentioned something about the characters hooking up and that they're Jedi. Like, some people are like, no. They didn't say, they said you can't get married to one, but you can shag. Sure. And like other people are like, no, but the shagging leads to attachment, which leads to the dark side. So they don't like that. And they're like, yeah, well, maybe maybe the Jedi are really that dedicated to their religion, so that they'll do their best to deny their base emotion from attachment from others, but still shag. It's like, there's been this conversation for the last half an hour while we've been talking, and it's been in between other things. They're saying other things, and it goes back to the conversation of shagging and the Jedi. I love it.
Yeah, it's true too. They did not say thou shalt not shag. That is certain.
Yeah, that thou shalt not form attachment. But do you have to be holding on to the attachment?
Yeah.
Can it be holding on to you?
It's hard not to get involved. It's like a Vulcan trying to have sex.
What if the Jedi were in a scenario where they were forced upon by their lover? They didn't want it, but it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Could be that scenario. Oh no, whatever will I do? She's on top of me. Oh no, I don't want this. I am a Jedi. No, but oh please stop. Sure, she's got me handcuffed here. What can I do? Are you gonna tell me no?
It's a real problem in the
Jedi, that's a loophole around the Jedi way, it seems. That'd be something.
If you're it's a real problem in the galaxy, that Jedi rape. And we've got to do something about it.
It's that they get raped.
Yeah, they get
women keep on raping them.
Yeah, it's a horrible problem.
and then backwards with the dude, with the chicks and all that. It's just, oh no, what's going to happen? This way there won't be no more Sith, right? If it's not consensual. I don't know. What do you guys think in the chat?
That's hilarious.
We're going to be wrapping up here really soon.
Shall we shag now or shag later? It's got it.
Jedi can shag. It's called pimp status. No attachments, says Curtis YZ.
Nice. May the pimp status be with you.
Over easy mode says they're knights, not monks. They can shag. See, this is a big debate now. Like,
it is.
It's not about if they can fall in love or whatever. I mean, they don't want you to fall in love with somebody, but can thou shag is the best question here. Like, the Jedi has force kink.
So is it okay to have a Jedi orgy but not a marriage?
That sounds like that'd be fine because that's not love. You ditch them and you're done.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, the Jedi can shag and not be attached. Shag and run, says Death by Saber.
Shag and run.
This is an important conversation, guys. This is who shagged Palpatine? Oh, I know, right? When they said he had kids, they just went over the fact that he had kids. Meaning, what? Was he pregnant? No. He probably did the nasty with a woman. Like, oh, Jesus. Like, why would they want to put that in our heads? Like, a lot of people suggested it could have been a Palpatine, but you didn't need to make that true.
Yeah. You've got that woman in Revenge of the Sith. He's like, leave us. And she looks at him like, okay. That's the only one that could possibly be the one that he...
Oh, you're right.
Not a very good choice.
Was that a woman? I don't remember.
Yeah, man, she had awesome gray skin, Cool.
Oh, I was thinking of that blue dude for a second. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, no, I am. But even still, you're right. They flew right over that. Like, don't pay attention to the fact that he had a boy that didn't care about the Force and they fell in love with a woman and tried to get away. That's a whole story that we want you to buy as a comic book later. What?
It's like, nah, dude, no one's going to read that at all. No.
I'm not.
Yeah. Curtis YZ says, at this point, Jedi just have to deal with it. Yeah. Hold on. So let's see. So right, Kitty says, some things are better left unanswered, including that. I don't care if it's a plot hole. I don't know. I don't want to know who shagged the Palpatine. Yeah. Ditto, right, Kitty? That we don't ever need to know. That should never have been brought up in the movie. Like, just you could have even just said that she's the granddaughter. Just I don't even know. Not at all. No, I'm sorry. That can still never be a thing because unless he lays eggs, that's not happening. Yeah. Unless he reproduces by budding and it doesn't replicate into himself, then I don't know. That doesn't work. He could have built her as a robot. That's acceptable.
Yes.
You the human heart that he killed somebody and I don't know, their heart was alive and stuck it in an android. That's fine.
Sith
that's
magic.
Fine.
Sith
exactly.
magic.
Sith magic. Yes.
Boy, we've really fallen apart here.
God damn. Well, this is kind of the divulging area of the stream now, I think.
Right.
So, Anthony Quinn had a baby when he was 80. What the fuck are you telling me that for? God damn it. I don't need to know. Well, wait, is that a Anthony Quinn? That's a dude. So he had sex with somebody who had a baby. Okay. That didn't make any sense. Also, why didn't Palpatine's son be the most powerful Force user? Because, yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I'm actually okay if he wasn't the most powerful Force user. He could have had the potential to be one, and let's just pretend, which, he would have trained him if he. God damn it! It's so dumb because it's 30 years after he was. Oh, that's so stupid. That's just so dumb. Why would the Emperor want to shag? I thought he was trying to live forever. He doesn't need an heir to the throne if he thinks he can live forever. Like, what?
The only excuse I can come up with in my own mind is that they wanted to be able to sell a comic book or two. And I haven't even seen that comic come out. So I don't know. I really don't know. They just needed the story to move forward, and they didn't really want to get into why. I don't know.
That would have been better if Rey was just a derp by herself, she just derped had the Force. It's stupid, but goddamn, at least it's not gross.
Yeah. I guess I always wondered why they made Palpatine. I mean, I hate to get into the sequels and the hate on the sequels because I'm trying to keep it positive, but it's hard not to. And they really didn't think that through. I think that going the route with who was the one that taught Palpatine again? Plagueis.
Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Yes, that would have been a better choice.
Agreed.
You know, could have had him. You know something? Speaking about Plagueis, maybe no, never mind, never mind. I was gonna say maybe we can make a show about that, but obviously he's dead, and that's all there is to say about it, right? So.
Yeah, pretty much. We have a pop in chat tonight with this stuff.
I know, right?
The two Me Too Star Wars Network says just popping in to give you guys a like. Date night, so I can't stay. Well, nice dude. Funny that you came in and are on a date because we're talking about shagging.
Yeah.
With the Jedi and Sith and stuff, and what's allowed and what isn't, because that's a hot topic right now. The fan fictions. I go see some of the interesting pairings I've read. I wonder who he's referring to with that. With the pairings, we'll see. We got the Detox Rebels says the whole trilogy is a clunky mess. That's putting it lightly.
Yeah.
If we were to have a tornado inside of a volcano on Mars and thrust across the universe, that wouldn't even be enough force to describe how much it was a mess.
Yep.
No. Palpatine reproduces asexually with a sperm donor, says right, Kitty. So now you're making me think about him going looking up a magazine on the Space Republic, Empire's most Playboy, I don't know what the hell, and trying to go into the space bathroom to try to get out his jollies into a cup. It just no, because his wrinkly hands on his wrinkly thing is not what we need to think about. Okay, that's still not acceptable. No,
absolutely
not acceptable. If he can just go, you're pregnant, and zap his fingers, sure, that's fine. If he can use magic like that, that's fine with me.
Yeah, because they put that comic book out, didn't they? Where Palpatine was found.
They implied, but that's not a fact specifically.
Why even?
Even when he's saying to Anakin, they say that he created Anakin, but there's kind of back and forth on it being the Emperor, Palpatine's actions having inadvertently created him. It's not like he directly, with his conscious, went, I am creating this, chosen one, in the baby. It's technically supposed to be a result of his actions, is what I've heard as well. But then again, I don't know anymore because everything keeps on changing.
Yeah,
it might as well be fan fiction. Whatever you want to have happened, because you just make it a thing now. Whatever.
I think you're right.
Yep, I think Over Easy's right too. He says we all need to shag. That's true. Don't we? He said hit that like button. I agree. Alphamore Doritos says the Sith shags passion in their dogma.
Oh wait,
is it a dogma? Yeah,
we've only got 2 likes. We need some likes up in here.
It's probably updating. When it's probably got 30 likes. Just kidding. The Sith shag sounds like that'd be a TV show. Next week on the Sith shags, poor Count Dooku couldn't get laid with his wife last night because he left didn't take out the garbage or something. That could be a thing. I'm surprised we've kept our viewers since we've been talking about this. Yeah. Will Gentry says, nah, Rook, he can just force teleport it the way to Kylo and radio. The sperm? No! God damn it! You still now you're making me now he has got to focus on some chick who's just helpless in bed, and he's like, I'm watching you, and then force ejaculating over. No, that's not necessary. No. Do you get that, Flipp?
What's that?
You know how Rey and Kylo have their force bond, and then they can physically interact, kind of.
Yeah, right.
He was saying, well, that's how Palpatine impregnated somebody, through the Force Skype.
It has to be Skype, yeah. Skype shagging.
Skype sperm.
Palpatine Skype shagging tonight.
Scott says, I think there was a secret Sith sperm bank overrun by Mari Povich. Yeah, that's true. That's possible. I thought it said Molly Pope, Maul. I was like, what?
Oh yeah, Maul,
Maul's talk show or something.
Dolph Maury.
Will Gentry says straight out of his nuts. God damn it! Shut up. All right, we should probably stop the stream in a sec. Twi'lek Passion Monthly is what Palpatine read. Yeah, probably.
Twi'lek, yeah.
I'm surprised Angus hasn't popped up in the chat. With all this talk, might as well be the Jedi brothel.
Yeah,
brothel.
That coming soon.
Maybe Palpatine set up Anakin's dad with his mom in their story. I don't know. Okay. Oh my gosh. There was leaked footage on Instagram on what? He's trying to talk Star Trek. We're talking about all this nonsense. Detox says, yeah, we have 18 likes and rising. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate you guys hitting the like button and sticking around, especially now. I'm really just trying to see if people were going to drop when we start talking about this. As I was about to leave, for 10 minutes, I've been talking about this, and we gained more viewers. Like, this is pretty funny.
We should talk shagging with Jedi. More
pretty funny. We should make this a show. Fatal J comes in. Yeah, he says, "What up, fellas and ladies?" Fatal, can you answer me this? Can Jedi shag in the Jedi Order or not? Because the thing was kind of like they can form attachments, but it kind of depends right there, and that kind of led us in a lot of questions here. And then Palpatine and all that crap came into question, and oh god, it devolved from there. Denied on Maury Povich. My dad is the Emperor, and he won't talk to me. Yeah, sounds like an Austin Powers ripoff thing. He's like the ruler of the world, but doesn't like him.
Spoken like someone who's watched Maury Povich. I like it.
Possibly, yeah. People used to watch that show.
Yeah,
it was interesting when it would switch it up every now and then and be like the biggest fat 4-year-old is eating French fries because his mom doesn't feed him normal food or something, and then it's like okay, and there's all these different themes or something on his shows. TechCom says, I think I know why everyone in Star Wars loves Rey, even if they haven't met her. She's the galactic speeder. Everyone wants a ride.
You write that? That's pretty
good one. That was a good one, Jetty. I'll give you an applause right there. That was pretty good. I like that. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Took me a sec. That was funny. Oh my god. Slam the melee button right now, like you're slamming your drinking glass. Thank you, Scotty. Thank you, Scotty. All right. I think we should end it about here. I was going to see if Fatal had a response to the shag question, because I think he would know. He or Demogeni would probably know. Right? He says, imagine Palpatine and his kid, Dr. Phil. Oh, on Dr. Phil. That would be funny, a skit. I'm surprised they've not done that on SNL yet.
Yeah. Or Ricky Lake. Ricky Lake would be good too.
Or even like South Park or Family Guy or something. Just like, the Emperor's just there. Hey, so my boy, are you going to rule the Empire someday? Fuck you, Dad. I want him.
I tell you what, if we had the income, and we would do skits like that. You just got to have like the Emperor's robe and all that good stuff. I would love to do those.
Just get a bathrobe. Okay. Let's get a bathrobe and put on some type of hood.
Or good. Sperm bank skit that way for Al Palpatine. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah.
A bald cap.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cup, I wouldn't care.
Why not? It'd be all right.
Tonight on Jeffrey Swinger, Emperor Palpatine sits down with his granddaughter Rey to talk about how she disappoints him for rejecting her family name. Yeah, that'd be boring. I feel like that'd be a boring episode. I like the one with his kid being a disappointment instead. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah, that's better.
Hey, granddaughter,
jump up. You just fill it up to the line.
God, I'm totally making that. Okay, yep. You go on that, man. Palpatine's and family therapy.
I'm gonna need family therapy after this stream.
Oh my God, I'm surprised the Senate out of everybody isn't here. He's like the main memer around, and he's not here to meme this. He's got to watch it later because he's missing out on meme gold here. Yep. I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you everybody for coming on by. Alpha More Doritos, TechCom, aka Mega Jetty. We got the open-minded movie man Scotty over here saying multi-minded Scotty now. His name change. Got Detox Rebels. Got the Riot Kitty. I don't know why I did that. Fatal J dropped by for a bit. Will Gentry kept on keeping it nasty in here. Thank you, my friend. Continuum Trek. Over Easy Mode. Death by Saber. Fantine was here a little while ago. Thank you, everybody, for coming on by. We should be back by Sunday, and we'll have a couple of guests, and we shall see you guys later.